Okay, so let's go ahead and finish our problem by checking with our addition. So we had 6 plus 6 plus 6, that is 18. And then we remember we're going to rename 10 ones as 110. And we add it there in our tens column. So 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 12, plus 1 more is 13. So I'm going to put 3 tens down here. And I'm going to rename 10 of those tens as 100, so I put that up there. So that would be 13 plus 1 up in the hundreds, and then I add all of my hundreds. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 more, and that would give us 738, just like we did with our blocks, just like we did with multiplication, and then we checked everything with our addition. Okay, so we're not going to do blocks for all of them. However, if it is helpful to you, I know you probably don't have any blocks at home, but you could just make little squares of paper to represent if you want to. Okay, so today the focus of our lesson is just taking those patterns that we've learned before, starting with the multiplier, multiply by your ones, multiply by your tens, multiply by your hundreds. The added step is renaming those things, and so now we're even renaming tens as hundreds, so that's something new for today, and then a lot of practice. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do, let's do number 2. I'm not going to do all of these because I think you guys are getting it, but let's just check, okay? So we have 4 groups of 17, 4 times 17. We're going to start with our multiplier, multiply by ones, so 4 times 7 equals 28, right? So 4 times 7 is 28. So I'm going to put my 8 in my ones place. I'm going to rename the 2 tens as 2 tens, and I'm going to add plus 2 up here in my tens. And remember, I'm putting a plus 2, so I remember to add it in after I multiply, right? Okay, so here I've multiplied my ones. I've renamed my tens. Now I'm going to take my multiplier times my tens, okay, so 4 times 1, 4 times 1 equals 4, and now I've got to add 2 more tens, okay, so 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 more equals 6. So 68 is the answer there. Okay, let's check on number 4, okay, so number 4. We have 2 times 234, so start with your multiplier, multiply your ones. 2 times 4 equals 8, and nothing to rename, right? Okay, so now we take our multiplier, and we multiply by our tens. 2 times 3 is 6. Oh, I chose one with no renaming. Silly. Okay, and then 2 times 2, 2 times 200 equals 400s. Yep, 468. Okay, let's go to, they're not really doing a lot of renaming here. Okay, so let's go down here to number 6. So we have 4 times 8. Remember, we're multiplying our ones first. 4 times 8 equals 32. Okay, so what are we going to put in our ones column? We put the 2, and we rename the 3 as our tens. So we're going to put a plus 3, okay, because 8 times 4 is 32. So we put our 2 ones here and our 3 tens up here. Okay, so now I multiply 4 times 2, and 4 times 2 equals 8. And then when I've got 8 in my head, I'm going to add 3 more. So 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 more is 11, right? So 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 more is 11. So I put 1 10 down here, and then I've got to rename my 10 tens as 100. So I've got to put the other one right here as 100. Okay, and I'm going to remember to add that in. It's a plus 1. Okay, so 4 times 2 equals 8, plus 1 more equals 9. So 912 is my answer there. Okay, all right, let's take a look at the bottom one. It's using multiple steps to solve this problem. So let's look at it. Grandpa bought a piece of apple pie for $2 and a cup of coffee for $1.75. He paid with a $5 bill. How much money did Grandpa receive in change? So this is a multi-step problem. We're going to have to figure out how much his items cost. We're going to have to subtract that from the amount that he paid in order to get the change that he received. Okay, so how would I find out how much his items cost? Okay, so he bought 2 items. All right, so the first thing we need to do is add up those 2 items together. Okay, you might be able to do that in your head. I'm going to write it down just so that you can be clear. And remember, when we write money, we have to line up our decimal points. My decimal points are very faint on the screen. Is that better? Okay, so we have $2 plus $1.75. That's going to tell us how much his items cost. So we're going to add that. We're going to add our pennies, which is 0 plus 5. We're going to add our dimes, which is 7 plus 0. We're going to make sure our decimal points are all lined up, and then we add our dollars, 2 plus $1. And that's how much Grandpa spent. He spent $3.75. Now remember, when we do change, we start with the amount that we pay with. Okay, so he has $5 that he's giving. He's paying with a $5 bill. So you should write $5. And then we subtract the amount of his items. That's the way we're going to get the change. Okay, so we're going to put a minus sign, and then we'll subtract the amount of his items, which was $3.75. Okay, so now we've got to think about all our regrouping that we need to do that, because we can't do 0 minus 5. We can't do 0 minus 7. We have to go all the way to our dollars. Okay, so we'll take our $5, take $1 away from there. So it'll look like this, $4. Okay, $4. And then we're going to take the dollar that we took away, we're going to change it into 10 dimes, because 10 dimes is the same as a dollar. Okay, and then once we have our 10 dimes, we can take 1 dime away and put it in the penny column so that we can subtract these pennies, right? So take 1 dime away. Instead of 10 dimes, now we have 9. And now instead of 0 pennies, we now have 10. And now we can finish our subtracting. Okay, so we have 10 minus 5 equals 5. And then we have 9 minus 7 equals 2. Make sure your decimal point is all lined up in a nice straight line. And then we'll subtract our dollars. $4 minus $3 equals $1. And don't forget your dollar sign. Okay, so how much change did he receive? So his items cost $3.75. He paid with a $5 bill. How much change did he receive? He received $1.25 in change. Okay, so you are going to complete the back, page 288. There's not too many problems there for you. Okay, remember you're going to have to show some renaming here. So if you need to watch that part of the video again to see how we change that in, you remember you're going to start with your ones, okay? Carefully count. Remember the line is separating each group so that you can figure out what your problems are, okay? All right, have fun with that, guys.